Rev up your engines! Okay, we got a 2011 Mazda 3, the original owner. We'll see how it's held up. He's had some problems with the HVAC system that they've never really fixed for him. We're going to look into that, but first, look at an overview. It was like a $21,000 car when he bought it new. It's got about 90,000 miles. And you can see why people buy them. They're good-looking cars. That's a 12-year-old one. So it's not the zoom of the newer ones. But in some perspectives, it's actually better because it's got variable valve timing, but it is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine. So it's got a reasonable amount of horsepower without adding turbo and all those complex systems. See, when we take off the stupid beauty cover, it's a conventional engine. It's got coil unplugged, there's some insulation. Maybe the rats were in there, I don't know. Doesn't burn oil, still runs fine with 90-something thousand miles on it. Now, he did say that sometimes when it's cold outside, the shifting could be a little bit weird in the winter. The main problems with these Mazda 3s are, this is the older one, and it's got a Jatco automatic transmission. If you follow me, you know I'm not a fan of Jatco automatic transmission. The later model ones, after 2015, Mazda started making their own transmissions, but Mazda makes them. And they've proven to be relatively bulletproof. The problem with Mazdas, historically, has been weak automatic transmissions, and Jatco didn't add anything positive to that, even way back when. They were always notorious for having weak automatic transmissions. I had customers that went through 2 or 3 of them if they kept them 100 and 150,000 miles. This one's still working, got a little problem when it's cold, but that's the main thing. If you're thinking about Mazda 3, I would wait to see if you could get one that has the Mazda transmission and not the Jatco. Massachusetts car, which is kind of obvious because you can see the strut towers have rust on them. That's superficial rust. We'll look underneath to see how the undercarriage is held up. And really, if you look at it, it's held up pretty well. Not rusted through anywhere. Even the alloy wheels are still in pretty good shape for all that salt and corrosion that they throw on the road in the winter in Massachusetts. So they've obviously come a long way from they did in the past when they were rust buckets. That's not a problem. Now, his main complaint was his HVAC system was clicking away. So he took it in. Coronavirus came. They didn't have anybody working. He brought it back and they said they replaced some stuff, but it's still clicking. Then they tried to sell him a heater core. Well, he wasn't losing coolant or anything, and he didn't smell it, but he thought it was kind of odd that they were trying to sell him a heater core. Now, after they worked on the car, he was getting the clicking noises. He's still getting the clicking noises, but worse than that. And now it's got a point where sometimes it puts out air conditioning on one side, heat on the other side, which it never did before he had the car worked on. So obviously they screwed something up. There's no way that a vehicle is supposed to act like that. Something definitely is rotten in Denmark, so let's start checking it out. So we'll go to diagnostics. It's a Mazda 3. They were also called Axles in Japan, 2.5 liter automatic. While we're waiting, you can see it's got a little over 85,000 miles on it. Original owner. Interior's held up quite well. No rips or tears. Now the weird thing is, the automatic temperature control system shows no faults, yet it's acting up. Start her up. We'll try the cabin temperature here. Air mix actuator. Says it's off, let's turn it on. Well, it's turned it on, that's working. Put it on heat. Putting out heat. We'll put it on cool. It's putting out cool air now. That's working. But now it's putting out heat again. Aha! Putting out heat. We don't have it on heat. Now it's putting out cool. Let's see if it changes again. Yes, it's putting out heat again. Now, it never did that for him before, but as you can see, when I activated it, it was hot. Then when I put it to cool, it was cool, but then it immediately started turning itself back to hot. So something's wrong. We'll see what we can figure out with the scan tool here. Now, here we go. We can look at cabin temperature here. Now, it's showing the cabin temperature to be 29 degrees Celsius, which is like 84 Fahrenheit. And it is putting out warm air now. But when I try to get cool air, it's not cool air, but it's warm air. Let's check out if these sensors are acting out. The left sensor's showing 20, but the right sensor's doing. Showing 22. So they're exactly the same. So it's not like the sensor's giving wrong data. They're both giving the same data. It's not like the evaporator temperature's wrong, because that's 11 degrees Celsius. That's the cool part. 12, a little bit warmer now. So the air conditioning's working right, the heating's working right, but it is mixing them wrong coming into the vehicle, which it never did before they worked on the car. We're checking for codes on the system, for the whole heating system, and it's showing codes for both solar sensors. And it shows there's a failure 13 that the circuit is open. Well, let's face the facts. They worked on it, they went inside the dash. Now the circuit is open for both solar sensors, meaning they probably knocked the wire off when they were doing the work. Now, he says he gets a clicking noise, so we're gonna roll the window up so we can hear better, and we'll activate the switches here. Right, it's off. Let's turn it on. Blowing cold air now. You can hear it clicking inside. You definitely hear it click inside there. Hear it? There it goes. Now let's turn it off. You heard it click again. Let's turn it on again. Clicked again. We'll turn it off. Didn't click that time, but you heard it clicking. Turn the airflow on, and all of a sudden, it's putting out hot air when we have it set at cold air. It was blowing cold air. Let's turn it off. Now it's blowing cold air instead of hot air. We haven't changed any of the adjustments. So, now all of this occurred other than the clicking noise that's always been there. They said they replaced the actuator in there. I doubt if they replaced anything because it's making the same noise that it made before. Only now it's putting out hot air and cold air by itself without doing anything. And it shows there's an open in the circuit. The solar sensors are supposed to see how hot it is, how cold it is, how to make it work. With that system being out of the loop, I'm assuming now the computer's just guessing because it doesn't have any data. So it's now going hot, cold, hot, cold. You didn't have this hot, cold problem until they worked on the car, and the clicking hasn't gone away. They obviously screwed up, but they're saying, oh no, we replaced these parts and now you need a heater core. Now, it doesn't mind it in the winter because the heat's always coming on and off, but there's enough heat. The problem is when it's hot in the summer, it's turning the AC on, the heat on, the AC on, the heat on, and that is really annoying. Now, it's pretty giving up with a Mazda dealer because they keep telling them stuff they did and they didn't fix anything, and then they want $2,600 to replace the heater core, right? So, I got a solution. If he wants to try it, they go to the heater core, right? All you have to do is either splice them together, then you'll have no heater, or you could put a valve in line on them. I've done this with Mercedes-Benzes for decades, because some of their stuff's even worse. Well, it's $8,400 to fix the HVAC system, right? You put a little valve on each one of those. In the summer, you can just turn the valve off, and you won't get hot air and then cold air. There won't be any hot air. And then in the winter, you can just open the valves up. It's a real easy fix. Now, if I were him, I'd take it back to the dealer and say, you did this stuff, and look, I got this code for these solar things. It never existed before, and now you must have messed something up when you were inside that dash, which is logical explanation. Now, with all this complexity of computer stuff, and them wanting $2,600 for a heater core, I'd probably just put little valves on those hoses and leave it at that. He's been driving it for 3 years this way anyway, and with that, he'd have nice and cold air in the summer, and in the winter, he could just open the valves up. Real simple fix. So if you didn't want to put valves, you could splice the two together, and then you'd have no heat at all in the summer, which who cares? And then in the winter, you could just splice them back in. You wouldn't even need valves. The car itself, hey, it runs fine for her and everything. He didn't like that little rattly noise, and then after they worked on it, now he's getting heat, cold. Well, you can't blame the car on that one. It's obviously the guys working on them. And unfortunately, I see that all the time at Mazda dealership. Their service departments generally aren't all that up to snuff. And this was during the coronavirus when they were probably hiring people off the street to work there that didn't know what they were doing. They've obviously botched something up in the dash, but hey, it's pretty easy to put a little valve in there. Just turn the heat off in the summer, put it back on in the winter rather than tear that dash apart, because it's hunting back and forth. They obviously did something to the solar wiring for the sensors because it's showing there's an open short in the system. You'd have to tear the whole dash apart again, so maybe put on a little valve. He likes the car and he's been driving it with this hot cold for 3 years, so now he knows how to turn the heat off. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Wandering One says, I'm a long-time driver but a first-time buyer. Usually I get hand-me-down vehicles. I've had a Galaxy 500, 88 Dodge Aries, 88 Plymouth Reliant, 94 Camry, but now I'm buying a car. I'm leaning towards the Corolla Cross, and I like the cargo. Do the CVTI's cons outweigh the pros? No, because it's a Toyota Corolla Cross. Toyota makes the best CVT transmissions in the world. My son drives like a maniac. He has a Corolla S with the CVT. He likes that it's fast, which is rare for most CVTs, but that one is, and it actually gets better gas mileage than it was rated for. So, Toyota does make the best CVTs in the world. If I was going to buy a car with a CVT, I don't particularly like them, I would get the Toyota. we were even thinking about getting one. If somebody smashes into our Matrix and we're traveling or something, I probably would replace it with a Toyota Corolla Cross or a Toyota hatchback. One or the other. Toyota Corolla hatchback. I'd probably take one of those, right? I mean, mine aren't wearing out, but you never know when you're going to get in a wreck, so you might as well plan ahead, right? They have a solid track record with their CVTs, especially the more modern ones that have the launch gear and stuff in it. They're phenomenal engineering in those things. That wouldn't chase me away at all. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.